This is just part of a massive coin collection I just purchased. I'm excited to go through this looking for goodies using my coin mat. Stay tuned. Let's see if we find any cool varieties. Hey collectors, thanks for watching. I'm the Collector of Coins, and as I said in the intro, I just picked up a massive coin collection. This is all the loose stuff. There's some silver that will be done in a different video, and there are albums to go through. We're going to start with the loose pennies and nickels and foreign coins, looking for any varieties. So if you're not yet a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. Please remember to give a thumbs up. Share this video with a friend if you think they will find it interesting. And in the meantime, I got to start getting this organized. This is going to take quite a while, so this might be part one of a multi-part video. So keep watching. We will start by pulling all the Canadian currency out, and we'll take a look at that and see if we fill any of my album spaces that are needed, and if there's anything really special in here. So this is everything that was in that Ziploc bag, and as you can see, we got silver nickels, we have V nickels, we have buffalo nickels, we have some silver Canadian stuff. There's a lot of stuff in here. So I am going to start by pulling out all the Canadian stuff and checking albums. But this one caught my eye immediately. Look at this, 1966. Gorgeous. All right, we'll pull this aside since it popped out, and then we'll sort this, and I'll bring it in one by one if there's anything really cool to look at. All right, first pass. I think I got all the Canadian and world coins out of this pile and into here so we can go through this a little more thoughtfully. I tell you, there's some amazing stuff just by glance, but we really have to spend some time on it. I pulled out a few things that were curious. So there were two clad coins, which I just threw in a different bin. Those are for spending. We have 5 silver dimes that were in that bag. And then I'll start with this interesting penny. That is a 1980 plated penny. Kind of a novelty. We had a seated dime. I think that's 1880. Not in the best shape, but cool. And then 2 Canadian half dollars. One from 1949 and one from 45. Those are cool. I'm going to put these in flips. I'll put those aside since it's silver. I don't think I missed anything, but you never know. There's quite a lot of Liberty nickels in there. But we'll go through this next, and we'll see what fills up the album. All right, well, we're going to sort these out by denomination now. We're going to start with quarters. We'll take a look at them. We'll see how many fill spaces in albums. I'll bring you in to take a look at each one. Not one at a time, but as we kind of go through them as we put them in the album. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. All right, well, before we get into this pile of Canadian quarters, we have some other world coins. We got 3 25-cent pieces from the Bahamas. We have 2 coins from Greece. We have a French Indonesian coin from 1939. That's pretty cool. We got 20 centavos from Ecuador. These are all copper nickel. Found this very cool 1953 coin from Cuba. And I think this is like 80 or 90% silver. That's a good find. All right, well, we got these sorted out by year, 40s, 50s, 60s with the 80%, 68 with the 40%, and then the clad 69s, a lot of them, 68 clad. We got a 1970, and this cool Royal Mounted 1973. All right, so we're going to check the album. We're going to start with the oldest ones first. We have 4 from the 40s, so let's take a look. Well, wouldn't you know it, my album starts in 1953, so we're going to have to check those another time, so we'll move on to this pile from the 50s. We've got a number of them. Looks like maybe about 10. All right, fingers crossed. So 4 from the pile from the 50s were actually before this album, so I stacked them with the 40s. We already have a 1953 with the shoulder fold. It's the line, I don't know if you could see it. It's a little hard to make out, but it's the line back here. But we do fill 3 spaces, 55, 56, 57 with 2 duplicates here. So we'll pop these in and then we'll move on to the coins from the 60s. And that's a pretty big stack. All right, not bad. We got a 60, 61. We already had the 62, 63, 4, 5, and 66. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more for the album. And the duplicate stack of 80% is growing pretty nice. All right, we'll get to these after we put these in. Well, it turns out in 1973, there were 2 varieties, a small bust and a large bust. This is the small bust variety. I'll show a picture inset here, but the main difference that I saw from what was depicted is the distance between the rim and those beads. More distance, smaller bust. There's some other tells as well, but all right, let me take a look at the value. Well, and wouldn't you know it, the large bust is more valuable than the small bust, which does not surprise me. All right, we made great progress on this album. We got a whole bunch of duplicate silver. So we got about $2 in face value of the 1968 40% silver, or 50% silver, I should say. And we got maybe about $2.50 worth of the 80% silver. All right, dimes are next, and there were a lot of them in this jar. All right, we'll get them out and see how many spaces we fill in this album. All right, well, we got all the dimes sorted out. There are some clad ones, some silver ones, but this one was probably the most amazing one. This is not from Canada, this is from England. That's Queen Victoria. 6pence from 1839. I'm gonna go look up what this is worth. It's in probably AG shape, but it's silver and it's old and it's cool. Well, it's got 92% silver. As far as I can tell, this is probably worth about $8 or $9, 10 at the very most, but it's still a very cool little coin. All right, well, we got them sorted by decade. These are from the 20s, although one of them does not have a full date or a date at all. That's missing a date. That's 1929. And I believe that's 1920, although the last digit is faded. So there's no space in the album for these since the album starts 1937. So we do have one from the 30s, 40s, we got 50s, early 60s, and then 68, and then clad. So we'll start going through this in a minute together. All right, for the 30s and 40s, we fill 4 slots, and we have 5 duplicates. So I'll pull those aside. We'll put these in, and then we'll get to the 50s. All right, we got 6 more for the album. 1950, 52, 53 with the shoulder fold, 56, 57, 58. So we'll get those into the album right now. Well, we don't need many for the 60s. So we're going to take a look, and let me go grab them, and we'll see if we can fill these empty spaces here. All right, we got 3 that we needed, 1960, 62, and 63. We'll get those in. All right, we have pennies and then a lot of nickels to look through. So we're going to do the pennies first, since I don't need that many in the album. I'll bring you in if we fill any spaces. I'm not expecting us to. But I'll bring in for the nickels afterwards. Like I said, we only need a few more to finish this album, but surprisingly, we found one. We need the 1931. So we'll put that in. We're still looking for the 49 and the 58. Now keep in mind, guys, I'm in the United States, so it's not like I'm purposely looking for these. I come across these coin roll hunting. Sometimes they pop up when I buy a collection. And this page is all finished in this book to 1988. So, yeah, we're collecting Canadian currency now. All right, we got a lot of nickels to go through. We're going to sort these by decade, and then we'll take a look together. This one, wow, that's a cool 1927. That's an oldie. Ooh, it's a nice shape too. Get back here. It's running away. Wow. All right, well, we got these all sorted out. We got 1 from the 20s, 2 from the 30s, a couple piles from the 40s, even more from the 50s, lots from the 60s, and just 2 from the 70s. gives you a good idea of when this collector is pulling this together. All right, let me grab my nickel albums. We'll start with the oldest and we'll work our way to the newer. Well, in my excitement, I just popped these 3 in because this page was completely empty and now we have 3. We're gonna move on to the next page, that I think is also, well, mostly empty. We need a lot from the 40s and 50s, so we should be able to fill a lot of this up. I'll bring you in. I won't put them in just yet. I'll lay them on top like I've been doing so you could see which slots are going to be filled. All right, well, I'm putting in a obverse example with George et ind imp, which is on the coin here, et imp. But we did find, in addition to that, a 1945, the 46, the 47 plain, the 47 with the maple leaf. I'll bring this in so you can see it. Put some pictures inlet. You see the little maple leaf next to the 7? There's a third variety with the dot, which is incredibly rare. We did not find that. We do have some extra 47s, and one of them also has the maple leaf. So that's pretty cool. All right, well, we'll get these into the album, and then we'll look at the 1950s. Actually, I had some more from the 40s that I missed. So we have one more, 1941, which will go in a second. All right, we're gonna move on to the 50s now, and we got a number of them. I'm gonna take my time, I'll get them lined up, and I'll bring you in. Well, one of the nickels in this batch here is a 1951, of which there's several varieties, a low relief, a high relief, and then a commemorative. The commemorative is very scarce. We're gonna take a look to see if this is the high relief. All right, well, I'm gonna put a picture on the screen to show the difference between the high relief and the low relief. As you can see in the picture, it has to do with the obverse, the A in gratia. For the high relief, it lines up dead center to identical. For the low relief, which is the non-accidental one, it goes in between the denticles. And as you can see in the one that I have, this is the low relief. We'll pop this in the album and I'll show you the other finds in a second. Okay, on this page, we have the 1951 low relief, a 1952, and we have the example without the et ind imperial, which is missing after Rex, which you can see is over here instead. All right, we'll get these in and we'll get to the next page in a second. All right, well, on this page, we have a 55, a 56, and a 59, and we have a bunch of 53s, and of course, wouldn't you know it, a number of varieties. And I'm not familiar with them, so I'm gonna have to look them up. Let me get these 55s, well, these 3 in, and then I'll look to see if I have any of these varieties. I know I have shoulder fold. I don't have the no shoulder fold, so I'm thinking it's one of these 2. So I believe all 4 of these are actually with the shoulder fold, which is surprising. I'll put a picture on the screen as well so you can see the difference. It's really dominant for the DEI, and as you can see, there are no flares coming off of the D and the E. So these 4 are all the shoulder fold. So now I got to take a look at the other variety. We got to look for near leaf and far leaf. So let me go look up that as well. I'll bring you back in. Well, all 4 of these are the same type. I believe this is the near leaf or near maple leaf. So we have 4 of the with shoulder fold near leaf variety. Let me put a picture of what the 2 look like right now. All right, and as you can see, there's quite a bit of difference, or I should say distance, between the far maple leaf versus the near. So yeah, so we got 4 of the same variety, and there were 4 different varieties to find. Oh well, at least we got one of them, and we're gonna put them in the album and we'll move on to the 60s. Well, we didn't need a lot in this album or on this page. We did get a 1972, and we do have a lot of 1965s. Now, I already have the small beads variety, and the fact that the large beads variety is filled in over here leads me to believe that it's unlikely, extremely unlikely to find it, but we're still gonna look. So let me look up what the large bead varieties looks like. I'll put a photo inside and I'll put this one in the album. All right, I'll bring you back in one moment. All right, well, we have 1 out of the 5 1965s that we have here underneath the microscope. The big indicator on the large beads, large beads, is that the center of Elizabeth II, we see these 2 Roman numerals here, would line up on a dot. As you can see, dead center, this lines up to a space between two of the denticles. So this is the small beads variety. Let me put a photo in on the screen so you can get a better look at specifically what to look for. Sorry for the redundant language there. All right, we'll take a look at the others. I'll only bring you in if they happen to be the large denticle variety. If not, we'll just move on. And not surprisingly, they were all the small beads varieties. Well, we just finished part 1 of going through this epic collection. So I would like to thank you for watching. I'm going to remind you to come back for the next episode where we're going to start looking at the V nickels and buffalo nickels in that bag. And I know all of you are probably anxious to see what we find in the wheat cents. You're going to have to keep watching for that. All right, well, again, thanks for watching, collectors. And as always, happy collecting. I hope you find some good treasures as well.